This is Entrepreneurs Get Visible, the podcast for people who want more impact, influence, and income. I'm Anna Parker-Naples, and I'll be sharing with you proven methods from leading entrepreneurs that help you get visible as an authority in your field. Because anything's possible when you get visible. Today on Entrepreneurs Get Visible, I'm going into exactly what I think it means to be more confident and how you can be more confident. And I'd like you to know that I am about to release for the second time my Confidence to Get Visible course. This comes on the back of a challenge that I've now run twice and is a very powerful course. People who've done it previously have had breakthroughs left, right and centre. They have realised that their work is more impactful, that actually they've discovered why they were hiding as a child, why they were pulling themselves back, realised why their business wasn't working. And we have seen an increase in not only people's confidence, but actually their business results as a result of getting to grips with these limiting beliefs that I'm going to talk about inside this episode today. Now, if you would like to sign up for this course or find out more about it, go to annaparkernaples.co.uk/confidence, and I hope to see you inside. The doors close to the Confidence course on March the 2nd, so make sure you're in before that happens. I'm talking today about what it means to be confident and how you can actually take steps to be more confident no matter what's going on for you right now. So many times we think that confidence is the fact we have to put on this act, we have to put on this bravery, we have to pretend that we are something that we're not. And that can be very forced and lead you to feel quite disconnected and lead you to feel that you are being inauthentic. And that's when problems like imposter syndrome show up for people. And imposter syndrome can then stop you doing all sorts of things. Imposter syndrome then leads to procrastination and not getting tasks done. It leads to perfectionism. So you try to get everything absolutely perfect and therefore don't actually do a great job because you're so caught up in having to get everything done to perfection, and you kind of eat yourself up if you don't manage to do that. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about pretending to be confident. What I'm talking about is getting to that nitty-gritty about what really matters to you, so that when you are aware of that and when you're aware of that feeling of having purpose, that you can be much more impactful. And that impact comes from this sense that what you have to share with the world, you are entitled to share with the world, that it feels right to share with the world what you're good at. So often we lack confidence about our own natural abilities. And a lot of this is to do with conditioning from society, from our families, from school, from education. And a lot of it also is down to how our brains function. So all sorts of events happen to us before we are even 7 years old, where we've made decisions about who we are. And these are often known within the personal development space and certainly within NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, as limiting beliefs. Now, these limiting beliefs can have you starting to believe and really believe that you aren't good at something and therefore shouldn't do it, when actually there's another part of you that knows that that is your ability, that is your talent, that is something you want to pursue or be good at. And very often these are things attached to creativity. So often it maybe as a child we're showing our father a dance sequence and we didn't get the praise that we thought we should have had. So we make decisions about that. That's something a friend of mine was talking about just the other day. Or it could be that we did a piece of art or a piece of poetry and we're very young at the time, but we don't get the feedback that we want. So we make decisions based on the lack of support and encouragement that we get. Now, that lack of support or encouragement isn't necessarily because your parent or your teacher or the authority figure is being cruel. It's just that they have other things going on. But we internalize that as rejection. And we tell ourselves a story that because this happened, it means this. That because that event meant that I wasn't creative, then it means I can't be creative in another field. Now, one of the things that I talk about in my book, Get Visible, and actually often in some of my keynote speeches, is a circumstance for me that was about when I was at Brownie Camp, age 7. And I knew that I was good at writing. I used to spend all my time writing mini comics, mini newspapers and poetry. I would write all the time. And I went on this camp really excited that I was going to have the chance to join the camp newspaper. And I wrote my first article. And that evening when it was in print, the person who had been hosting the rifle shooting that I'd written about came into the room and picked up the article, very excited to read it, not realising I was there, not realising I'd written it. And he absolutely slated everything that I'd written. And it really hurt. So I internalised that to mean that I should never write because that's what he had said. And actually, I could have made a different decision at that point. I could have made a decision that actually I was going to prove him wrong, that actually I was going to write, that actually I was going to be like the girl who wrote The Garden Gang. That was a series I absolutely loved as a child. She was published at age 11. I could have made those decisions, but I didn't. What I did instead is I internalized that to mean that I shouldn't ever write, that I shouldn't feel confident in my abilities, that I shouldn't do the thing that made me feel joyful. Now, this shows up for people in all sorts of ways. Very often it's about speaking up. It's about being heard, which you'll hear a lot in my messaging. I talk a lot about be seen, be heard, be remembered, and that is part of marketing. But a lot of this comes from how you feel about yourself. So if you have had occasions in your childhood where you felt like you couldn't speak up, maybe that's at school, maybe that's in family situations, that can then spill over into how you behave within an educational environment, which then can affect how you speak up or don't speak up within relationship, which then can inform how you do or don't speak up in terms of work. And it then has this knock-on effect with your confidence because you are telling yourself over and over and over again in a thought habit. And we love to have thought habits. We love to get stuck in these cycles. But you're telling yourself over and over and over again that this thing about you not being able to speak up, and it becomes your reality. You believe that you can't speak up because you're telling yourself over and over and over again. And the same can be true actually then for being seen. And a lot of this, again, can come down to childhood or moments of trauma. So one of the things that I talk about quite a lot is that I used to find being on camera and talking naturally excruciating. And as an actor, well, there's something really incongruent there because as an actor, I needed to be seen. But I would always say, well, I'm not interested in screen. I just want to be on stage. But behind it, I had a real fear about being judged and people being able to play me back on a loop. And as you can see, I've obviously dealt with all of this because that's exactly what a Facebook Live is about or a YouTube video is all about. But the reason is, in my subconscious, I made a decision when I was young that I didn't want to be caught on camera. And that then became a habit. That became a belief about who I am, that I'm not good enough to be on camera, that I shouldn't be on camera, that I don't want to be captured on camera. And there's all sorts of beliefs around that and things that have happened for me that created that. But actually then I couldn't understand why I wasn't getting the results I wanted as an actor. Now, the reason was I was desperately uncomfortable with myself. So it goes back to actually, what is it? Who were you before you made all those beliefs? Who were you before you put all those decisions about who you are and those limiting decisions in place? Because actually the reason that those limiting decisions become really uncomfortable is because they are not all what you are all about. You are way more than that. You, that confident person that is inside you, is actually you before you made all these limiting decisions. Now, these limiting decisions, they don't just disappear. You actually need to do some digging around with it. And that's something I'm really passionate about helping people with. Now, funnily enough, I don't consider myself actually a confidence coach because I think my work is much deeper than that. But one of the things that I do help people to do is uncover what's underneath all of this stuff. Because when you get all of this stuff, all of these thought habits, all of these negative beliefs about yourself that are rubbish out of the way, then you can do anything. And I can tell you that with confidence because of the journey I've been on. There's a reason why I had international success as a voice actor. There's a reason why I got myself to Hollywood. And it's not necessarily that I was the best in the world or the best in Britain. It's that I got those things, those limiting decisions out of the way. There's a reason why I can stand on important, powerful stages. There's a reason why I can get people on my podcast. It's because I got all of that rubbish out of the way. Now, it's not to say that I don't have moments where I wobble, where my thoughts aren't helpful to me. But because I have the skills, the understanding and the resources to undo and untangle those thoughts when I notice them creep in, I then am empowered to do something about them. So how to be confident really comes down to this. You have to become aware of what you're telling yourself. You have to become aware of the language that you're using. You have to become aware of the stupid things you say about yourself, the jokes you make about your ability. You have to become aware of the things that you are telling people you can and can't do, because that becomes your reality. Your subconscious is always listening and it's always there following orders. Your subconscious loves to follow orders. So what happens, and this is what fascinates me about neuro-linguistic programming, the programming part. What happens if you reprogram yourself to say, I am confident and I am comfortable and I am allowed to speak up and I'm comfortable speaking up and it's actually fun. It doesn't have to be hard work. That's what real confidence is. It's allowing yourself not to be sidelined by your own inner critic. And that inner critic often shows itself as the teacher from school, your mum, your aunt, your granny. You hear it literally as their voice very often. But the truth is, it's your voice. It's actually you saying that about yourself. You have programmed yourself from an early age to think those particular things. Now, for me, when I acknowledged and dealt with all of those critical, sabotaging things about, one, showing up on camera, and two, about my own voice. So this was another trigger for me, that when I was younger, and now I sound young, my voice is high, my voice is energetic. And that was problematic because I was eaten up by the fact that I didn't sound as old as everybody else. But actually, I think it's one of my greatest strengths is that I have this energy. So what happens if I allow myself to really dive into who I am and I let that energy and that enthusiasm come out through what I do? Well, what happens is that my work becomes more congruent. I become more congruent. I'm not apologizing for who I am. I'm accepting of who I am. And I'm not pretending that I'm somebody else. So the key to this confidence thing is understanding the words and language you say to yourself and deliberately changing them. And this isn't false. This isn't making stuff up. This is when you have two parts of you, the part of you that knows you're meant to be doing more and the part of you that is sabotaging. And actually, the sabotaging part came after. You really do know the things you're capable about. You've just programmed yourself to not believe it. So if any of this in this episode has resonated with you and you know that you are not fulfilling your purpose, that you are holding back in some way, and there are these niggling doubts that you have beliefs about yourself that might not be true, that aren't helping you get the results that you want, then I highly recommend that you take a look at my confidence course over at annaparkernaples.co.uk/confidence before it closes on the 2nd of March.
Thank you for listening to Entrepreneurs Get Visible. To get your free checklist on how to raise your profile and to find out about our community, go to annaparkernaples.co.uk/get visible.